Hey everyone, it's Daniel Wallace here, Colorado real estate broker and member of the National Association of Realtors. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about first-time homebuyer savings accounts. And in Colorado, we have been doing something very cool since 2017, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it here in this video. We're going to cover some Q&As about first-time homebuyer savings accounts and see what we can learn. Hopefully you guys can see the screen here. And first-time homebuyer savings accounts, if you've never heard of it before, they allow any Coloradan to set aside up to $50,000 towards the cost of closing on a new home. And those earnings on the funds, such as interest and capital gains, are free from Colorado state taxes forever. First-time homebuyer savings accounts are a great way for future homeowners to start saving early for the cost of buying a home. These accounts are simple and easy to set up. And not only you can open a new one, but you can also designate almost any existing account as a first-time homebuyer savings account. To create a first-time homebuyer savings account, you simply include a form when you file your state taxes. It will indicate that you should not be taxed on any earnings, like the interest and capital gains, because of the account's first-time homebuyer savings account status. After you use the money towards closing costs on a first home, you send in a different form to the Department of Revenue showing that the funds were put towards an eligible cost. Here come the Q&As. So what kind of accounts can be first-time homebuyer savings accounts? Almost any account you have with a financial institution, such as mutual funds, CDs, brokerage, money markets, insurance, even a savings account. First-time homebuyer savings accounts can also include individual stocks. How much can I put in a first-time homebuyer savings account? You can contribute up to a total of $50,000 in principal, and the account can grow in value up to $150,000. There will be an annual contribution cap of $14,000 and $28,000 if you file jointly. There is no limit on how long the account can exist. That is very good to know because sometimes we are saving for years, right? The next question is, what can I use the money for? A first-time homebuyer savings account can be used to pay for just about anything related to closing on a home. That includes anything that's on the settlement statement, such as closing costs, inspections, lender fees, or any of those are considered eligible costs. What's considered or who is considered a first-time homebuyer? A first-time buyer is someone who has never purchased a home before. That includes single-family homes, condos, townhomes, co-ops, or even mobile homes. If you've owned a home at some point but didn't purchase one, such as you inherited it, you could still qualify. And it includes someone who's divorced but may have previously owned a home with their spouse. That's good to know. It's also important to note here that it doesn't include land or commercial property. Can I use the money to pay for someone else's closing costs? Yes, as long as the person you're giving the money to, such as a child, grandchild, niece, or even a close friend, is a first-time homebuyer. Can I use my first-time homebuyer savings account funds if I'm buying a home with someone who is not a first-time buyer? Yes, as long as you qualify as a first-time buyer. What if I move out of Colorado? Why the heck would you? Our laws are fantastic and we're really progressive, so you other states should be jealous. But eligible costs only apply to first-time home purchases in Colorado. What if I die? We always got to think about that one, right? The account would be handled like any other part of your estate, but the beneficiary of the account wouldn't have to pay taxes on the assets in the account. This is sometimes referred to as a stepped-up basis, which generally happens when a person dies and real estate transfers to their heirs. Next, we're going to cover some scenarios. There are a lot of scenarios or use cases where a first-time homebuyer savings plan makes sense. Here are several simple scenarios. Funding for a child, taxes on interest, and let's talk about changing your mind a little bit later. So, the first one, funding for a child. Philip and Lee put in 10 grand into a mutual fund that they will use to help their son buy his first home. The money grows over the years, and when their son is 26, he decides to buy a home. They sell the shares in the fund that are now worth $18,500 and give it to their son to help with his down payment. Normally, they would pay state tax on the $8,500 in earnings, but they file a first-time homebuyer savings account form with their Colorado taxes and don't have to pay a cent in state taxes. Let's talk about taxes on interest. Alfonso and Patricia take $1,000 they received as a wedding gift and open a money market account at their bank. They plan to use it towards the closing costs of their first home. Over the next several years, they add money when they can, eventually using it towards their closing costs when they buy their first home. Each year, Alfonso and Patricia file their Colorado taxes they claimed the first-time homebuyer savings account status as a part of their state tax returns, so they're exempt from state tax for all the earnings on that account so long as they use the funds for an eligible cost. That is important. Talk about changing your mind. Emma decides to start putting money away for a first home when she graduates college. She opens a high-yield savings account with a few $100s and adds to it when she can over the next 12 years. The account grows. Each year, after Emma files, she puts in a first-time homebuyer savings account form with the Department of Revenue, so she doesn't have to pay Colorado tax on the interest she's earned. Then, Emma marries Sam. Sam already owns a house. She won't need the money after all. They decide to use it for a vacation instead. Because Emma used the money for a non-eligible purpose, the vacation, Emma must now pay back the taxes on the 12 years of earnings on the account, as well as a 5% penalty on the amount of earnings over that 12-year period. Ouch. I would be telling Sam, we're going to buy a new house, or I'm going to gift this to either a really close friend who's a first-time home buyer, or maybe a family member, that niece or their future child, because there's no time limit on these accounts. So I would really keep that in mind and urge anyone who is investing into an account and decides to designate it as a first-time homebuyer savings account to just hold on to that and only use those funds for eligible costs. And as we discussed earlier, eligible costs are those that will show up on a settlement statement when closing on your home. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this share. I'm going to hop back on over here to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love imparting wisdom to the community. And if this video has helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. And yes, I am a Colorado real estate broker. So if you are needing more information or help or tips and tricks, feel free to give me a call. My phone number is 719-287-2043. I look forward to talking soon.